Absolutely. Absolutely. Autism.
Absolutely Autism.
So what is Consumables?
What is it? How do we figure it out? Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first and most important thing is to maybe debunk and maybe explain that terminology in a little bit more understandable language. So consumables are products, items that are used on a daily basis. It might be things like incontinence aids or nappies. It might be clothing. So I know that for Janelle and I, our son has some sensory aversions or some difficulties with touch and sensory and other sensory issues. So for him, having some socks, some specially designed socks that don't have a seam on them is perfect for him. It might be certain clothing. It might be
sensory toys.
Sensory toys,
shoes,
yeah.
Things like
Yep,
that. Things
absolutely.
to enable parents to be able to be the best carers they can be.
Absolutely. So there's sort of two areas that the NDIS deals with when we're talking about equipment or products, items that your child can use. When we talk about consumables, we're talking about items that are at a lower cost. Generally, it's about under $1,500. These are items that you can purchase directly through the consumable budget within your core support budget within your NDIS funding.
So let's go back and say that again,
Yeah.
because that's one of those words that you look at it and you go,
Very
well,
true.
what is core support?
Absolutely. So the way that I always explain and the way that our team at Kompletecare sit down and talk to people about it is imagine that you've got 3 buckets. Okay, 3 buckets, and the NDIS is going to come along with a big jug of water. They're going to pour a little bit of water into this bucket, a little bit into this one, and maybe a little bit into this one. Each of those buckets represents where funding can go, where money will go for your child. And again, it's about what specific bucket relates more to your child. So it might be that our first bucket, which we call our core support budget, is the primary bucket for your child. It might be that both the core support budget and what they call the capacity building support budget is important for your child.
Which that would be your therapies.
Correct. So the capacity building support budget is primarily focused on the therapeutic support, occupational therapies, psychology, dietitians. I always explain it like the more sort of theoretical side of learning and supporting your child. And then you've got a third bucket. Now this one is, I would say, a little bit more rare, but certainly there'd probably be people watching this video, and there's certainly people that I work with that use this. This is what they call the capital support budget. So the capital support budget is...
I've never heard of that.
No, neither have I.
Yeah, not as commonly used. This one is for big ticket items. Okay, so this is things like, might be modifications to the home, for example, wheelchair ramps, rails and supports in the bathrooms and things like that, if there's any sort of physical or mobility issues. But it's also bigger ticket items that might assist in the sensory soothing of your young child. So your capital support budget, there's 2 subcategories to that. There's what they call assistive technology. So that might be things like wheelchairs. It might be things like sensory swings or other equipment that might help soothe your child and help them to emotionally regulate. And then you're talking as well about home modifications. So that could be things like ramps, it could be...
Safety rails.
Yeah, safety rails. It's best to look at each individual case. You've absolutely got to look at the specific needs of your child and what your main concerns are. A really important thing to remember though, and this is something that absolutely myself and my team can support you with, is getting recommendations or evidence from some of those therapists. So whether it's an occupational therapist or whether it's a psychologist or even a speech therapist on why a particular item, why a particular piece of equipment or modification to the home is important. And again, going back to that key language, why it's reasonable and why it's necessary for your child.
So one of the biggest questions I think we get asked, and I think everybody discusses at some point in their autism journey, is when it comes to funding, could you explain to us the difference between being plan managed, agency managed and self-managed?
Yep, absolutely. So I've sort of come up with a way of explaining this that I hope relates to everyday life. So everybody, I'm hoping, pays their taxes. Yes?
Yes,
good,
we do.
good. Just in case the ATO is watching, yeah. Just in case the government's watching.
Now, are you trying to tell us something here, Adrian?
Oh, I have a secret. No. So everyone pays their taxes, okay? Now, come tax time, sometimes people will just go to the ATO website. They'll just go through the standard process for making their tax return. They'll get a standard tax return back, okay? Then you have sometimes people who maybe they own their own business. Maybe they're a little bit savvy with money and numbers. So they decide, you know what, I'll do it myself. I'll jump on the computer and I'll go through that system. I'll go through all my receipts. If you're someone that keeps receipts, I'm certainly not. But we'll go.
I keep the receipts.
Yes. But you've got someone that might go through it themselves. And then you might have people that say, like me, that will go through and say, you know what, I don't want to look at these numbers.
That's me.
I get cold sweats just thinking about doing mathematics. So you give the responsibility to someone else.
Like an accountant.
Yeah, exactly right. So you've got the options of either being self-managed. That's like just doing the tax return yourself. You've got the option of being agency managed or NDIA managed. That's like just using the government website, clicking the relevant information and submitting it off nice and easily through there. And then you've got an option of what's called plan managed. Plan managed is having an accountant or someone to process all the invoices and the bills and manage the financial aspect of your NDIS funding.
So who would do that for NDIS, for example?
So there are a number of companies throughout Adelaide that provide what they call plan management services. There are certainly a number of companies that myself and our team at Kompletecare could recommend and suggest to you. But there are a number of agencies that provide this service.
With Plan Manage, can you don't have to pay for that yourself, do you? Like the NDIS will pay for
Yes.
the accountant.
Absolutely.
Per se, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if someone prefers that option, the option of being plan managed as opposed to being self-managed or agency managed, they can definitely request funding to be allocated for that. So there's no out-of-pocket expense to have your NDIS funding managed through a plan manager.
You can also do half and half. I have my son's therapies plan managed, but I also self-manage his core funding myself too.
Yep. So to be honest with you, there are pros and cons for doing it either way. I think again, and I hate to use this line over and over again, but it is very much an individual decision, and it's something that you have to look at. The great thing is I can offer a lot of advice, and our team can offer a lot of advice around the benefits and what we think would be suitable for your particular situation.
I mean, we're completely plan managed. I just find it easier. Our life is busy enough as it is. Like, you deal with all of that, and we'll just get on with making sure they actually get to therapies and that sort of stuff.
Calculators make me nervous, so I'd much rather someone else deal with it.
Yes.
So there's a term that I wanted to ask about because I only learnt it when we were discussing making this video, was an LAC.
Yes. Tell you what, one thing that the NDIS is very good for is acronyms.
Yeah.
Right? Shortening really
down.
big words into simple 3-4 letter acronyms.
Nobody understands.
Right, exactly.
Especially when you're new to the journey and there's all these
Yeah.
letters everywhere. You think, oh,
So watch our other video about the acronyms.
About
terminology. Then you'll pick up, NDIS, NDIA.
Yeah, all of that.
Local LACs or local area coordinators. Who are they? What do they do? So local area coordinators are employed on behalf of the NDIS. There's a couple of companies throughout Adelaide that take on the role of local area coordinators. So the local area coordinator is, I guess, your initial guide through the NDIS process. They're there to support you on the application. They're there to support you once you've been approved or access met to the NDIS. And then they're there to help you connect with potential service providers like myself, or maybe therapeutic services like occupational therapists and physios, or speech therapists as well, specifically for young kids on the spectrum. So local area coordinators are there to help you implement your NDIS plan, work on developing your goals and identifying how to word those goals in the right way.
And they're the ones that submit it to the NDIS, aren't they?
Correct. They're like your spokesperson. Yep. So they're the ones to really be there to advocate for you and support you on that journey.
And they tend to contact you when your plan's due for renewal as well. For those of you who haven't done a renewal yet, you will get contacted and then they'll take you through that process. Yep,
absolutely. So we're speaking generally every 12 months, just prior to when your NDIS plan is due to expire. The local area coordinator, or your LAC, or LAC as they're sometimes referred to as, will make contact with you and will schedule a time to visit with you to start putting together either new goals, start looking at any changes that might have occurred in your child's life, and then submit that to the NDIS on your behalf.
It also gives you a chance to get all of your reports and all of that ready and gathered up for your appointment.
Yep, absolutely. So they generally will contact you a month, maybe 2 months out from the month and the date that your NDIS plan will expire. And the purpose of that, as you say, Amy, is to give you a chance to get all those reports in ready and available, and work with the therapist for any new information that they might need to write some details on.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions?
Well, I've just been noticing that you've got these here, Adrian.
I got some goodies.
What are they?
I got some goodies. So these, you can actually find them on the NDIS website. These are participant booklets. So these are things that are actually a very, very useful tool for anyone, whether it be that you're just starting out on your journey with the NDIS, whether you're in the middle of your NDIS journey, or whether you've been on the NDIS or your child has been on the NDIS for a really long time.
So I hope that this has helped a lot of you with some of your NDIS questions. We're sure you have plenty more.
Put them down on the comments.
Yes, put them down in the comments. Ask away, we'll do what we can to help. And we want to thank Adrian for coming on and speaking with us.
No, thank you.
Just reminding everybody that Kompletecare works for elderly and people of all disabilities. So we've only focused today on children with autism. But if you have any more questions or want to look into Kompletecare a bit more,
I'm the man to talk to, so Kompletecare is an NDIS registered service provider. We do, as Lisa said, also provide aged care services. We're passionate about what we do. It's been said of Kompletecare that we're a company with heart. And that's something that we're really proud of. So I'd like to tell you, from me to you, that if you've got questions, if you're needing a bit of guidance or a bit of support, we are here to help. It's a confusing, sometimes overwhelming journey to go to try to navigate the NDIS. And so it's our mission to be a support.
And Adrian can be contacted directly via message on the Kompletecare Facebook page.
So thanks for watching. If you can subscribe to our Facebook, our YouTube, our Instagram, go ahead and do it, because then you can get everything that we're putting out there for you to see. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.